Good evening, everyone. It's 6 p.m. It's time to call to order this meeting of the Gallatin City Council for August 15th, 2017. We'll begin this meeting as we do each meeting with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Alexander is going to offer our invocation, and then Councilwoman Love will lead us in the pledge. If you'll stand with me, please.
Let every heart pray. Eternal gracious God, once again we come with thanksgiving in our hearts. We thank you, dear Lord, for this occasion. We thank you for every man and woman that's sitting on this bench. Lord, I just pray that you would guide us and give us the serenity to accept the things about life we just can't change. But please, God, give us courage to change those things in which we can, and wisdom to know the difference. And we forever give you the praise. In your mighty and precious Son, Jesus' name we pray. And every heart said, amen.
Please face the flag for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, Ms. Kittrell, if you'd call the roll for us, please.
Vice Mayor Overton.
Present.
Mr. Alexander. Mr. Camp.
Present.
Mr. Fennell. Mr. Hayes. Ms. Love. And Mr. Mayberry. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. The next item that you have before you is the approval of the minutes, and these are the minutes for the April 18th, 2017 council meeting, the May 2nd, 2017 council meeting, and the May 16th, 2017 council meeting. And I believe I heard a motion by Councilman Alexander. Second. Okay, second by Councilwoman Love. Are there any corrections, additions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving all of these minutes, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. The minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is public recognition on agenda-related items. If you have an item that's on tonight's agenda that you'd wish to address, now would be your time to do that. We ask that you come forward, introduce yourself, give us your address, and address whatever it is that you have concerns about. We now declare public recognition open.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name's Jack Chappell, and I live at 1758 Long Hollow Pike. I'm here on item number 9, that is the 100 Point Apartments. I also attended your work session, and at that work session, I heard Councilman John Alexander say, "I just hope and pray we don't have any fatalities." Now, at that time, he was talking about the fire chief's discussion of worn-out fire equipment and using a 30-year-old rescue truck in place of the regular rescue truck that was under repair. At the same time, there was a discussion of the high-density development at Hunter Point, and Mayor Brown advised the council that there were 2,284 apartment units in the pipeline. High-density development means more people. Nationally, the average is about 2.3 people per unit. And so that means that there are approximately 5,200 people in the pipeline. That's a 17% increase in the population of the city. And we are struggling with and hoping and praying that the fire equipment is going to keep up with the current population. Some perspective. The recent census found that the city had increased by 4,000 people from 2010 to 2016. High-density development does not pay for itself. I'm a researcher by nature and by training. It does not pay for itself through property taxes. Recent studies show that for every apartment unit or every residential unit, the expense is about $1.30 for every dollar that is brought in property tax. In many communities, developers are charged impact fees, and this is a way of getting money up front for the infrastructure improvements that are needed down the line. The problem is not with one high-density development, like Hunter Point, which will increase by 10% the number of apartment units that are in the pipeline. The problem is that by the time the straw breaks the camel's back, the community's back, things are irreversible. Before undertaking this project, I would ask the council to step back, and take a breath. Before approving this or other high-density developments, it's time to develop a way of assessing the impacts of high-density development on public services and on current citizens. Any delay in approval until a thorough economic and social examination of the project is made, delay any approval until we have the opportunity to give a thorough economic examination of the projects. I did some investigation, some looking into some of the planning documents for the city, and there's a very, very nice phrase in there. It says, new development should not have an adverse impact on existing community, and it should not provide a public benefit to an individual and an adverse detriment to the general public. I believe the 100-point apartment complex, a high-density development, fails under that standard. The high-density development has consequences for fire departments operating 30-year-old rescue trucks, for police departments who are looking at a 17% increase in population in just a few years, as well as for schools and utility services. And I ask that you stop and take time to assess this now before we've gone past the point of no return with high-density development. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Chappell. Is there anyone else wishing to speak under public recognition on agenda-related items? If so, now would be the time. Okay, I see no one indicating they wish to speak, so I will declare public recognition on agenda-related items closed. And I will remind you that there will be public recognition again at the end of the meeting for items that are not on this evening's agenda. This leads us now to Mayor's comments, and I do have several things to share with the council. The first of which is actually down here on this easel. You'll have to actually glance at it after the meeting tonight, and we're going to have our picture made with it as well. But this is a gift from the Friendship Hill Association. And what this is, well, first of all, the Friendship Hill Association is an organization in Pennsylvania that preserves the home place of Albert Gallatin, after whom the city of Gallatin is named. And they have sent us a copy of a letter that was written in 1823 from Mr. Albert Gallatin when he was acting consul of the United States to an attorney in France by the name of Garesh in La Rochelle, France. And what this says, in October 92, they restored the mansion that was Mr. Gallatin's home, and it was formally open to the public. In honor of that opening, our former mayor, Tommy Garrett, on behalf of the city of Gallatin, acknowledged the event and sent to the National Park Service a proclamation dated October 30th of 92, recognizing Albert Gallatin's important accomplishments and his service to the young U.S., and that proclamation still hangs upon the wall of the Friendship Hill National Historic Sites Visitor Center. So this says, in recognition of Mayor Garrett's proclamation, the Friendship Hill Association and its board of directors is pleased to present to the citizens of Gallatin a framed letter and its envelope, which are copies of Mr. Gallatin's correspondence. So that lovely piece has been down in my office for a couple of weeks. I wanted the opportunity to share it with each of you. And if after this meeting, the council and the department heads would have a picture made with that so we can send it back to them in thanks and recognition of that, them sending that to us, I would appreciate that very much. Also, I want the council and the public to know that all of the department heads participated today in day-long training. We had a very productive day of team building and learning about one another and learning leadership skills. So please be sure to thank our department heads for their participation. It was an energetic and very, very fun day. There are some events coming up you need to be aware of. There's a ribbon cutting tomorrow morning at Umbra Coffee. Third Thursday on Main happens again tomorrow, Thursday evening, and Off the Hook is the act this week. This weekend, the Pre-Eclipse Bluegrass Street Jam is happening from 6 to 10:30 on Saturday. The Sumner County Museum is hosting a Sip and Stroll Twilight Tour on both Saturday and Sunday, and that happens from 7 until 10 p.m. The Wanna Beatles will be at the Palace Theater at 7 p.m. on Sunday, and then guess what Monday is? Is everybody ready for the eclipse? We're getting calls like crazy about glasses. I would remind everyone that there will be glasses available at the park for people that attend the event there out at Triple Creek. And so that's the big thing happening. A reminder to this council and the department heads, we will be taking headshots with Richard Suter next week prior to our work session. So that will happen prior to that meeting. And I believe that's all that I have under mayor's comments. And that will take us to the regular agenda. And the item that's first on the agenda is second reading on ordinance number 01707-58. And for that, Councilman Hayes is recognized.
Yeah, this is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Tennessee, approving a preliminary master development plan for E.S. Maddox Commercial Park, authorizing the preliminary master development plan to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, second by Councilman Alexander. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, this is second reading of ordinance number 01707-58. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It does pass unanimously. Item 2 is second reading on ordinance number 01708-59. Councilman Fennell.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance appropriating funds for 2016, 2017 carryover capital projects. For those of you that don't know, this is $2.5 million worth of improvements that we're pretty much doing to the roads and sidewalks of Gallatin. I so move.
Motion by Councilman Fennell, second by Councilman Alexander. Is there any discussion? This is second reading of ordinance number 01708-59. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. It does pass unanimously. Item 3 is second reading on ordinance number 01708-60. Councilwoman Love.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance amending Gallatin Municipal Code, Chapter 5, Buildings and Building Regulations by adding Article 14 regarding fences, and I so move.
Motion by Councilwoman Love. Second by Vice Mayor Overton. Is there any discussion? This is second reading on ordinance number 01708-60. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, say no. It does pass unanimously. Item 4 is second reading on ordinance number 01708-61. Councilman Mayberry.
Yes, ma'am. This is an ordinance appropriating funds in the amount of $53,647.91 for salaries and benefits for the police department, which was a position that we inadvertently left out of our budget that needs to be added back in. Motion approved.
Motion by Councilman Mayberry, second by Councilman Hayes. Is there any discussion? Okay, this is second reading on ordinance number 01708-61. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, say no. Passes unanimously. Item 5 is second reading on ordinance number 01708-62. Vice Mayor Overton.
Thank you, Mayor. This orders to vacate right-of-way on Hamilton Drive, Lees Avenue, and Johnson Drive, and I so move.
Motion by Vice Mayor Overton, second by Councilwoman Love. Is there any discussion? Okay, this is second reading on ordinance number 01708-62. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, please say no. It passes unanimously. Item 6 is second reading on ordinance number 01708-64. Councilman Alexander is recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance amending Gallatin Municipal Code, Chapter 5, Building and Building Regulation, Article 2, Board of Adjustment and Appeal, and I so move.
Motion by Councilman Alexander, second by Councilman Fennell. Is there any discussion on this? This is second reading on ordinance number 01708-64. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It does pass unanimously. Item 7 is second reading on ordinance number 01708-65. Councilman Camp.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating $34,000 for the preparing of the land for the fire and police training facility in the industrial park. So moved.
Motion by Councilman Camp, second by Vice Mayor Overton. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, we've got this land cleaned off already. I believe that's correct. Is that all?
In the process of, I do believe.
Process of, and then the next phase of this will be doing some topo work on it. Okay.
And that's part of what this is paying for, too, so. Any other questions or discussion? This is second reading on ordinance number 01708-65. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. It passes unanimously. Item number 8 is first reading on ordinance number 01708-63. Councilman Hayes.
Yeah, this is an ordinance to vacate right-of-way on Douglas Bend Road. Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, second by Councilwoman Love. Is there any discussion? For first reading on ordinance number 01708-63, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. It does pass unanimously. Item 9 is first reading on ordinance number 01708-66. Councilman Hayes.
This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Tennessee, approving amendment to the preliminary master development plan for Hunter Point on 2 parcels of a portion of a parcel totaling 19.38 acres. And parcel 17.01, part, and 18.02 and 18.03, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances and providing for severability and providing for an effective date. Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, second by Councilman Alexander. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Love, you're recognized.
Thank you. I'm just concerned still about this traffic, and was there supposed to be another traffic study that was reported tonight for us about this?
I don't believe so. There was, I think we discussed that the developer said that they would do a traffic study upon the completion of the project, because the
It was on
concern was
completion.
that the apartments in place of the retail would remove the warrant for the traffic signal, and then they had said, or they told me, that they would be, willing to do a study after the
Okay.
fact for that.
I misunderstood. I thought they were going to present something beforehand, so I misunderstood that.
That's not my impression. Someone correct me if I may be wrong. Vice Mayor Overton, you're recognized.
Yes, Mayor, I've had several discussions with some folks out there, and they're just not comfortable right now, but they will be comfortable, and I'm gonna make an amendment to this motion that we require the developer to put in the traffic signal at some point. I'm not saying he has to put it in before it's built, but at some point, he needs to put in the traffic signal. And I'm gonna make that in the form of amendment to this.
Where are we talking
Long
about
Hollow
traffic center? Okay.
At the cross street from Long Hollow Pike that goes over into the subdivision.
Motion on an amendment.
I mean, I'll second it, but what about, what are we looking at time frame? I mean, what,
Well, I'm not, I know they're gonna do another traffic study. My understanding is they're gonna do a traffic study, and we'll see what that says, but this is gonna want a traffic study when the commercial and everything else comes in there, and I want this to be sure that, and I've told the residents out there that they would feel comfortable having this done, when this apartment complex and stuff goes in.
I think right now, I think they've already said that they would do a traffic signal if it's warranted.
Right.
So, I
Yeah, you
mean,
don't really want a traffic signal if it's not warranted.
I mean, but, I mean, I'm trying to see what the motion is. Did they definitely put one in, or what?
Yes, that's my
Okay.
motion,
All right.
and that's just.
Okay.
So he's made the motion and you've seconded it, which
Yeah.
opened it for discussion. And the location is at the,
Long Hollow Pike and at the intersection of, what's the name of that street that they're putting through subdivision? And Fairway Farms, the road there at the intersection. On Long Hollow Pike.
yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I've lost the name of that road. Bill McCord, can you,
Nick, what's the name of that road? Bill, what's the name of that road?
Bill McCord, city planner. On this preliminary master development plan, the road will be called Beatty Boulevard, but north of this intersection of Long Haul Pike and Beatty Boulevard, it's called Windling Boulevard
Windling,
into the
okay, Windling.
Fairway Farm subdivision.
Shit, you gonna cram it all in there. It'd be like putting one in.
so it's Beatty and Windling intersecting with Long Hollow Pike. Is there any further discussion on the amendment?
Well, I'm trying to comprehend this, but, and I'm all for it, yeah, but I know they said they would put one in there. I mean, I guess it's okay. I mean, but what you're saying is that, yes, they're definitely gonna have to put one in there,
Regardless of whether it's warranted.
regardless, right?
The residents out there, the ones I've spoken to, and I've asked a lot of them not to come tonight unless they just felt the desire to, and I'm sure they'll come at public hearing and stuff, but they just felt comfortable if they had a red light up there due to the traffic concerns, and they've already voiced that to a lot of us, and I'm sure you've gotten the emails just like I have. And I think this is the best thing for this piece of property. And I want to support this apartment complex on this piece of property, but they just want a traffic light there because they know eventually when all the commercial and everything else gets on this property, that it's gonna be a nightmare getting in and out right there.
I'm just trying to think of, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think of some way to word it to
Put a
where,
parameter there.
yeah.
And
I
a
mean,
time frame. I think a time frame would be important too.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I mean, the developer had already stated that they would put one there if it was warranted, but I don't think we can just make them put one there just to say we want one there.
we can do that.
We need to
Well,
justify it, though.
We can do that. I mean, that's no
But it
problem.
wouldn't be right unless it was justified.
Will the state, since that's a state road, would they approve, what conditions do they have to have in order for them to approve our approval
Right.
of a red light?
Yeah, Mr. Tuttle, would you like to address that? Because say it were to come back not warranted.
I think it's gonna be just like, Nichols Lane. They said Nichols Lane is not warranted, and we're gonna put it in. The city's gonna put it in, and Nichols Lane's not warranted to have a traffic light on 109 Nichols Lane, but we're putting it in. So I don't think it's any
I
different.
think as long as we put it in, or the developer puts it in, then, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that could be
let's-
true.
Mr. Tuttle, do you care to comment?
Sure. If a traffic signal is not warranted and the city desires to have it installed, TDOT would require that the city basically sign a waiver saying that they're not going to be held responsible. They understand it's not warranted. You understand it's not warranted. But if there's any fault that comes back later on, that it would be on the city, and the state would wash their hands of it, so to speak. So we can put it in if it's not warranted. From an engineering perspective, I would recommend that we do not put an unwarranted traffic signal in because we're not dealing with a safety issue. I understand it may be an inconvenience for some of those folks, but if a signal's not warranted, then there are reasons for that. And so, good traffic engineering, especially with the proximity of this intersection to the Long Hollow Pike and 386 intersection, you're putting in an unwarranted signal that's very close to another signal, and it wouldn't be good practice for us.
And that's what I guess, is there a way to say, okay, let's come back and look at it, say, once the apartment complex is completed, to see what the traffic looks like to see? Is there any way to do that? Well, no.
Well, I could
Which
make
is
a
what the-
suggestion, and we have a similar situation that we're still waiting on right now. The Planning Commission set a sunset provision for a traffic signal for the Lowe's subdivision, and it's coming up actually next year is when that provision would kick in. And if the signal is still not warranted, we're actually doing a traffic signal warrant study, working with Mr. Murphy's firm to do that. If the signal is not warranted there, then that sunset provision would not kick in, it would expire, and then that developer would not be required to install the traffic signal. And so we could do something similar here. The Lowe's development, as you all know, is, I think, somewhere around 10 years old, and so that's been around a while. That requirement's been there a long time. When the requirement was made, there was no sunset provision, and it was just for eternity that they would have to install it when it was warranted, and so they kept coming back to the Planning Commission until they finally agreed to setting a provision that it would expire. There would be a clause for it to expire. So I would suggest that we look at something like that here.
I just like to hold up my word, so I'm gonna do
Sure.
that.
Would it be appropriate to set this provision at this time, or would you want to think on that and then advise the council?
I would say, yeah, let us look at that this week. We haven't seen, so the problem is, what you want to happen is you want to see the Hunter Point development finished. You want to see Fairway Farms finished. And so it's hard to put a timeline on it. And that's where we are with the Lowe's development, because the Lowe's
Right.
development still isn't finished, but we
Well,
set something way out there, and now here it is.
I think until we have, further input from you, it might be best to withdraw the amendment.
Yeah, I'll withdraw my second.
Withdraw. Okay, so that takes us back to the original motion to discussion? Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Sure.
And there will be, I think, what, public hearing will be
Will
2
be a
weeks?
public- It won't be 2 weeks because there's 5 Tuesdays in this month. So
Be
the next.
3 weeks,
It's actually September 5th. according to the
3
attorney,
weeks,
will be the
okay.
public
And then
hearing.
we'll have a second reading 2 weeks after that, so it'll be the end of September, so, okay.
Is there any further discussion on the original motion?
Can I ask one thing?
Of course.
Just for clarification, Nick, any unwarranted red light that's placed on a state highway that the city requires, the city takes on all liability? Is that what I heard you say? And not the state? Didn't they wash their hands?
If there were a lawsuit to be brought up against the city, and Susan may want to speak on this, because I'm not an attorney, but if there were a lawsuit to be brought up saying that the accident was caused because the traffic signal was here, then the city could be brought into a suit, whereas I think the state would hope that the agreement that they had would hopefully clear them from being involved in that
So we would sign an
suit.
indemnity agreement, I would assume. Is that what you said, that where we are at this moment on Nichols, the intersection of Nichols and 109, at that red light?
Well, it wasn't warranted at the time the study was done, but TDOT projected that it would meet warrants, and so they don't normally install a traffic signal based on projections, but in that case, they did agree to it, and they moved ahead
So
with
if it's
it.
warranted, are they gonna pay for it?
Yes, the Nichols Lane traffic signal they are installing. With, it's TDOT's funds that are installing that.
And obviously, I think you all know that I'm going to advise you not to take on any liability. Don't accept any liability that you don't have to accept. Do not want the city taking on additional liability.
I concur. And may I ask one more, just as a follow-up to the gentleman out here? Bill, could you, by the next committee meeting, which we'll probably discuss this again, and you may know the answer to this now, how many apartment units do you have presently in the planning department that has not made its way to the city council? And this one is here, so you can cut it, this is the cutoff going backwards to get a figure, and you don't have to have that now, but.
Well, I'm not aware, other than this project right here, that we have any others that are pending that have not been already approved by the council. There has been talk, informally about really just a hypothetical uses
right now
of
you have-
properties, but
Nothing official is on your desk that someone is beginning the process, right?
right, we don't have
Okay.
any new applications that have come in.
No application,
After this
so-
one has come in,
It's clean from this one back, right?
right,
Okay, for the moment.
right.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Any further discussion with this council? I do have a few things I want to probably repeat to you all. I don't know what I've said in the past, but relevant to this, I want this council to be well aware that we are looking at an increase in our existing housing units of about a quarter. We're looking at adding about 25% of our existing homes, again, and most of those are multifamily. And it concerns me because our infrastructure, through no fault of our own, really, because we're planning well, is not keeping up. And we're just not getting the roads built as quickly as we want to. The state's not completing, some of the roads that we need to help support our city as quickly as they want to. We're going to get them done, but I'm just fearful that we're going to have all these housing units that come with people and that come with cars, and we're not going to have the roads to control the traffic. And I think it's really going to be a dire situation, and it's going to negatively impact the quality of life of the people who already live here. On top of that, relevant to this development, it was approved many years ago. I'm thinking it was 2010. And so a lot of other developments have happened based on the expectations of that development. Also, homeowners have bought homes in that area based on expectations of that development. And it worries me some, since it is in such a high development area, that it's kind of, it's changing we're not keeping up with the expectations of people who have made plans to build other apartments or made plans to develop other retail, or who have bought homes with an expectation in there. I have heard from people in Fairway Farms, some of whom actually prefer apartments to retail and restaurants, but the majority of whom do not wish the apartments to be built. And then the final thing I'll say about it is that I'm very concerned about the impact of the traffic relevant to the time of day that it's going to impact it. I know that overall, the traffic impact is less than a retail or retail and commercial development, but I believe that retail and commercial development is existing traffic, and this is new traffic in our city, and it's going to be at a very difficult time of day, happening at rush hour, both in the morning and the evening. So those are the things that I will say. Anything else? Anybody else want to say anything else before we vote?
Okay, let me get to, we have a traffic study. I think I remember that. So we're gonna go, this, and there's gonna be another one done, is that correct? And it's gonna be done after,
The development.
well then that's after the fact.
Why do we? Are we just needing that second one
I
to
don't know
decide
what
on
the
a
deal is on
light,
this-
or for
on
what
that
reason?
one.
I don't understand that either. I mean,
'Cause-
if we've got one now, what is the second one gonna do for us, other than tell us that we need a light
I
or
think
not?
one
Well,
thing it
my-
could potentially do is show if there's tremendous impact in those rush hour hours, I think might be
I
it.
thought
But at that point, it's too late, right?
I thought the
Well, no, at
second
that
tra-
point, you're asking for a light.
Right.
But the developments are.
You
I
guys,
thought we was-
this is the traffic engineer with the project. Would you like to suspend the rules to allow him to address that discussion?
Motion to suspend.
Motion to suspend by Councilman Fennell, second by Vice Mayor Overton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, if you'd introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. I'm Bob Murphy with RPM Transportation Consultants, and we did the traffic study for this development. But just to clarify, the study that we've done looked at the projected traffic and how their traffic operations would occur after the development. And so we identified, based on that, recommendations for what needed to happen. We do think with just the apartments that the traffic signal probably will not be warranted, but as Mr. Tuttle said, typically, the state wants you to base your traffic signal warrant analysis on actual traffic volumes. So the next traffic study would look at what the traffic volumes are out there once the apartments are in. And if it does turn out that the signal is warranted, then the signal could be approved and installed, per standards.
Mr. Murphy, are peak times a consideration in that latter study?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, what'll happen is, the main traffic signal warrants are based on 8 hours of a day. So it'll include not just the peak times, but also, the other hours that would encompass the main part of the day from a traffic standpoint.
Thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Murphy? Okay, any further discussion?
I'm still concerned
Okay.
about the fact that you brought up that we'll have possibly 400 more cars that are new to the area out there versus with retail, we would just be coming in from town already. So that's concerning to me about the traffic.
But he said you're gonna have more cars with retail than you are with apartments.
But we've already got those cars. I mean, they'll be
They're
coming
going
from
somewhere in our
another-
community.
No.
They're
No,
not new
no,
traffic.
No way, because we
No,
don't have
not with
no
retail, you're
out
gonna have
there.
more cars coming in there with retail development on that piece of property than you do with apartments.
But talking about overall using our roads, that's the point that I was trying to make. I don't mean at that pinch point, I mean overall in our community, using our roads on a day-to-day basis. Any further discussion? Okay, we're ready to take a vote. This is first reading on ordinance number 01708-66. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? It does pass unanimously.
Will this be a public hearing in 2 weeks, Jimmy? if someone said?
September 5th, because we have a 5th Tuesday in this month.
Yeah, but it's, okay, yeah. So that would be, okay.
Item 10 is first reading on ordinance number 01708-67, and Vice Mayor Overton's recognized.
Thank you. By this ordinance amending Gallatin Municipal Code, Chapter 12, Section 12-11, by the addition of language in reference to the discharge of firearms with the city of Gallatin in the city limits. And I so move.
I guess this is the description, and it doesn't matter because it should say within the Gallatin city limits. Correct? Okay. So we have a motion by Vice Mayor Overton, a second by, was it Councilman Fennell? Okay. All right, is there any discussion on this? This is first reading on ordinance number 01708-67. All in favor say aye. Opposed, please say no. It passes unanimously. Item 11 is first reading on ordinance number 01708-68. Councilman Camp.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning a 5.7 plus or minus acre parcel, tax map 149, parcel 033 and parcel 033-01 from A Agricultural Residential District to SP Specific Plan District, and approving a preliminary master development plan for Union Properties LLC located at 400 Oldest Bend Road, authorizing revisions to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for servability, and providing for an effective date. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Camp, second by Councilman Fennell. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, this is first reading on ordinance number 01708-68. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. It does pass unanimously. Item 12 is first reading on ordinance number 01708-69. Councilwoman Love.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance approving vacation sale and transfer of approximately 29,619.8 square feet of airport road right-of-way from the City of Gallatin to Henry M. Hollerman, and I so move.
Motion by Councilwoman Love.
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, second by Councilman Fennell. That opens this up for discussion.
What is the price that Mr. Holloman is supposed to pay for this right away?
Well, last council meeting, you guys asked Mr. Tuttle to base a dollar figure upon the, I guess, square foot, you know, the percentage of the acre, and I guess you use tax appraisal to figure that amount. And the amount that he's saying is $13,328.90.
And my knowledge is that's a piece of property that the city obtained for free.
We don't know the background on that. I don't think we don't know the background. I don't believe, I mean, I believe that to be the case, but we don't have the documentation to support
Is
that.
Mr. Holloman fine with this, purchasing it at this price?
Don't know.
You don't know?
Sean, the reason we put a price on this is not too awful long, this is a 4-year time. But we had a parcel down off Nashville Pike, and they want, it's the same ideal, they wanted that piece of property, and we told them we'd do it, but we sold it to them for a fair market value, and that's why we're doing this.
And this is a piece of property, there's no way nothing could really be built on. It's just a right-of-way trying to square up a piece of property for Mr. Holloman.
He owns the property adjacent to, and so he's asking for a little bit additional property from the right-of-way so that he can gain more property and hopefully
What-
develop it. I did speak to the applicant or the representative for Mr. Holloman, and he passed along that number to him, and they said it sounds good to them.
It does sound good to him.
So
We'd
that-
like to hear that.
So that they're in favor of moving forward with the ordinance as it is.
Nick, I'm going to a place, I want to ask you something. Elks Lodge right there, right up the street from where Henry Holloman's doing that work. That big ditch right there that's so dangerous, do we own that ditch right there, or is that ditch owned by Elks?
I don't know for sure if it's all within the right of way or not.
I don't mind voting this for Henry if Henry's fine with it, but I know Henry does a lot for us in the city and has done so for so many years. I was trying to put something together where maybe Henry could swap some way if that ditch was to be ours, because he's moving all that dirt right there, trying to level that up. That's the
Right.
only thing I was trying to throw out there, but I'm fine with moving on this anyway.
I don't think that that's probably something that we could orchestrate.
Okay.
Because we have similar issues throughout the city. I wonder if, and I'll throw this out there kind of along the same lines, is there an option to exchange, I mean, are they doing work for us? Are we buying fill from them or anything like that?
There's definitely some contracts that, I don't know if there are any that are active
It's probably
right
cleaner
now,
just to
but
keep it a purchase.
We're constantly doing work
Let's be
with-
consistent. I'm going to advise you that you probably need to be consistent in the way that you're treating citizens.
All right.
Okay.
It was just brought to my attention that property was our property, that hazardous ditch. Some reason they
You may
pass my
be
property, they're
correct.
always
I-
stopping complaining about that ditch.
Right, you may be correct, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Any further discussion on this?
I don't know who it was that asked if we had paid for it or not, but
We don't
it
know.
says that this is, it was deeded from from Dave Bradley, who is our family, and Daddy he may know.
I think the city actually acquired the property.
State put that
Prior.
road in many years ago, when, what's his face, was the legislature here, it was to cut through that pond.
So what it sounded like to me, Ms. Love, is donated to the city. I don't think we bought it.
I believe that to be the case.
It was donated to us, now we're gonna sell it. I don't like that.
We've not voted on this. Any further discussion? Okay, this is first reading on ordinance number 01708-69. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. Okay, it passes 6-1, is that correct, with Councilman Alexander voting no? That concludes the regular agenda, and that brings us now to other business. I do have one item to bring before this council, and this is a road closure requested by First Baptist Church. Pastor Travis Fleming down there has asked that the road, that the Boyer Street from East Main to East Smith to be closed weekly on Sunday for pedestrian crossing during their church services. Of course, there's no other businesses on that street. The police, fire, EMS, engineering, and public works have all signed off on this, and there are no support services needed from the city for this closure.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Love?
I'll move that we approve that road closure on
Okay.
Sunday mornings.
Motion by Councilwoman Love.
And I second.
Okay, second by Councilman Alexander. Now, did you wish to be recognized, Councilman
Well,
Alexander?
yes, I was just gonna state that the reason why I was for it, because a lot of kids in the church activity during that time of day could be very dangerous, so.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, say no. It does pass unanimously. Is there any other business from this council to come before the council this evening? Councilman Fennell, you're recognized.
I will be quick.
Okay.
The other day, Chief Williams addressed this committee right here, and that was last Tuesday, about wanting to purchase some new fire trucks. And at the time, I wasn't really too ready to vote or do anything on it. That's just a mechanic in me. I've been a mechanic for 33 years. I am ASE certified master tech. And I felt that I needed to go out and try to do some homework on these trucks and see what kind of shape they was actually in. I asked Jimmy to ride with me last Wednesday, and Jimmy Overton and myself went over to Jimmy Loper's shop, the city garage, and try to get a evaluation of what kind of shape our trucks was in. And, you know, Jimmy hasn't, nor has the garage, done all the work on the trucks. They've been taken to dealerships and other mechanics over the years, and I understand that. And Jimmy did help out, and I got a lot of trust in Jimmy. But the next day was Thursday, so I decided to do a little field trip and go by the fire department. And I did, and luckily I caught the trucks there. So when I walked in, I first went to the big truck that we got, the fire truck. I think it's engine one, the fire truck. Truck one. That's a pumper truck. That's a truck that actually went to Gatlinburg to help out with the fire in Gatlinburg, which I do commend the fire department for doing that. Glad that they done it. But the motor failed on that truck in the way back from Gatlinburg. And it didn't fail because of the Gatlinburg trip. It was just time for it to fail. We sent that truck out, and we had the motor rebuilt in that truck by a dealership. And it does have an oil leak in the front of it. I know the chief needs to find some time to run it back to the dealership to have that oil leak fixed in the truck. I looked it all over. I looked at the drive line in the truck. I could tell if the truck has been maintained fairly recently. You know, I've just done it my whole life. I knew to look at the heads. I knew to look at the air intake system, the ball joints, the rubbers, the shackles. I looked at that truck, and at this time, I believe that truck is a good truck. I believe that we need to keep that truck in service. fixed an oil leak in it, and I think it will give some good service for some years to come. Second truck I went to look at was the rescue truck. And the rescue truck is a truck that is rigged so that if there's a wreck out into the cars hitting head-on or somebody trapped in a vehicle, then that truck has got equipment on that truck to be able to cut the people out of the vehicle or go in there and spread the metal off of them. It's a very unique truck, and that truck does respond to pretty much all the wrecks, and it's a workhorse of the city. And just activity report in July, that truck went out to 140 calls, which is quite a bit. I got to really looking at that truck. That truck was bought in 1997. I stand to be corrected, but I believe I'm right. It's been a wonderful piece of equipment for the city of Gallatin over the years. That is their workhorse, and that truck is a pumper truck, and it's not really made to the rigging that's out there that needs to be hauling this equipment to responses. It's not really made for that, but they have adapted and they've made this truck work. This truck has got a body on it that they put a lot of their tools in the bins, and then a lot of that body is made out of aluminum and a fiberglass top. Fiberglass. The body is breaking on this truck in several places. The motor in it seems like it's still a good motor. It's leaking a lot of oil from the front cover, the seals. The truck has got some age on it, so therefore the wiring in the truck is starting to get brittle and hard, meaning that you could hit a bump and something could go out on the truck. This truck also, the equipment is not relied upon this truck, meaning that it don't have a generator or it don't give power to the tools you need off the motor of this truck. This motor, the only thing it does is pumps pressure to get water. So the tools that they're using on this truck are gasoline-powered tools that are hydraulic assist. So if this truck was to lay down, they got enough support vehicles to back it up to be able to get the equipment they need to the site. But after looking and evaluating this truck right here, I make the suggestion that we need to start looking for a rescue truck. I think that that's going to give us problems down the road. I'd really like to find a creative way that we can find to purchase him a truck. Now, one thing I asked Chief Dale, I said, well, Chief Dale, what's going to happen to this truck if we're lucky enough to purchase a new truck? He said, well, it would go back into our reserve fleet. Well, I said, reserve doesn't mean you'd be using it. He said, some from time to time. Well, you know, I've got cars that sit around and haven't been drove in a while, and that's the worst thing for a car, to sit one around and not give it some exercise. I pulled one of my cars out the other day. I hadn't drove since 2004, and I took it to a car show, and I had to do a little work on it to get it up to standards to be able to drive that vehicle. I would like to, for the work study, I'd like to turn around and us put it in the work study so that maybe that some of the finance people on this council right here can try to figure out a way that maybe we can buy the chief a rescue truck. If I need to put that in form of a motion, I will. One other thing I'd like to say, we've got a lot of vehicles that the city of Gallatin own, and I do work for certain fleet type companies out there, and I see what type of programs they are on for maintenance of these vehicles. And someone's got some really good maintenance programs out there. What I think that the city might be leaning to is one day maybe we need to discuss possibly hiring, and not to take anything away from Jimmy Loper, his hands are full, but I think like the fire department or even the police department, they could use like an ASE certified master tech just to get all these vehicles in line and on a program and know what we got and to keep care of our vehicles. A lot of vehicles, a lot of these guys are out there working, they might be B-Techs, and which is okay, but I think it's imperative that the fleet of vehicles that we got, that one day we need to push or strive towards a really good program with these vehicles and keeping these vehicles so that they can respond in the best way that they can. And I think, you know, in the near future, it would be smart for us to discuss, maybe we could add somebody to the fire department or the police department to do nothing but maintenance on the vehicles. At this time, I would like to go ahead and put that in form of a motion that we put it on the work study.
You don't need to do that, just
Okay.
ask.
So that is my report.
Very good. Any other business? Seeing none, I'll add that, last thing, at the Eclipse on Monday at Triple Creek Park, the City of Gallatin will be giving out Frisbees and beach balls. Beach balls should be here tomorrow. So if you're attending that event there, you can get some goodies and have a good time. But there are lots of events happening around the City of Gallatin. Be sure and check out all the things that are happening, from the college to some nonprofits to some private businesses. There's Eclipse parties all over Gallatin. So enjoy this once-in-a-lifetime experience. And with one final motion. Oh, you are right. I'm not trying to shut you down, I promise. That's right, public recognition on non-agenda-related items. Of course we want you to talk. Come forward, Mr. DeBoard. It's a booby trap. Put your clothes on.
My name is Joe DeBoard, and I live at 1007 Hart Street, Gallatin, Tennessee. I want to follow up on the Councilman Fennell's thoughts there. I am teetotally behind him in his endeavor. Teetotally. And I will tell you why. To have a person that's ASE certified is what we need in our community, period, in our shops. I've called for this in the past, and I hope that you people will get on the stick and get the job done with regard to that to make sure that our equipment is top notch. I've been under the cars just like he has. I've been under trucks the same way. So I'm calling on you right now to follow up on what Brother Sean's brought up tonight, and let's get this thing right. I want these cars right, and we'll take care of these vehicles and make sure everything's copacetic. And I'm going to tell you something, folks, it's going to cost some money. And what I mean by that is that shop sits over there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I would say that if we do this thing right, it's going to take a little bit more time than 7 to 5. We may even see some people come in here from down at the school and learn how to do service work under the eyes of a tutor, and be able to learn the trade. This issue right here is the number one issue right now with most trucking companies as well as dealerships in the country, because they can't get techs. Okay? So you all are aware well of what's going on, and Sean, you're doing good, son. We appreciate you bringing this up, because we need to work forward the future and make sure that our equipment is second to none. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. DeBoard. Is there anyone else wishing to speak under public recognition on non-agenda related items?
I'd like to talk about another high-density development, and that is one that is just outside the city on Saundersville Road.
We need your name and address again, please.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Jack Chapel, 1758 Long Hollow Pike. You may know that the city of Hendersonville has a project before it called Forest Park. And as part of that, there are nearly 700 apartment units that are planned for that area. How does the city of Gallatin get involved in that? Well, our fire station on Big Station Camp is the closest fire station to that development. It is about 1.5 miles away from the entrance. There will be one entrance to that Hendersonville development that will have probably 1,500 to 2,000 people in it. Those folks are going to be exiting on Big Station Camp, and they're also going to be coming down to Long Hollow Pike by the little store on Big Station Camp, on Long Hollow Pike. And so I feel as though high-density development is just out of control. And as I said before, you don't know what straw is going to break the camel's back. But once the community's back has been broken with these projects, there's no going back. And so I would ask the council again to consider some sort of long-range planning and effort of some kind to get our arms around these things so that we don't end up like the camel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chappell. Anyone else wishing to speak under public recognition on non-agenda related items? Okay, now we might be ready for that motion. Public recognition on non-agenda related items closed. Motion to adjourn by Councilman Fennell, second by Vice Mayor Overton. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Everyone have a lovely evening. We look forward to seeing you back here again. Have a great night.